KY3 News starts now.
A state of emergency in Missouri. More than 200 school districts closed today due to winter weather.
We've got Brandon and Liz with team coverage of the freezing rain and ice, and Kate with the game plan for power outages. First, here's Brandon with a look at the radar.
Yeah, we've got a kind of a split down the middle right now. We've had a few showers in Arkansas. Most of this, though, has been lifting north and doing so pretty quickly. But there's like this little conveyor belt that runs right about Highway 60 right now. So there are pockets of actually pretty heavy freezing rain in this. South side of Springfield, really not much at this point. North side has had a little more. Ozarks had a couple of rounds go through, but you can see this runs all the way down I-44 and continues to move northeast. So there are going to be spots that don't get much ice at all, and other spots where everything is glazed very quickly this morning, which means that if you're traveling, there are going to be some pretty rapid changes in conditions. The freezing line all the way down to Harrison Mountain Home. We're 30 in Springfield, 20s to the north. The expectation is that our best opportunity in Springfield for ice accumulation will be over the next few hours, and then the temp's going to come up just a bit. We should cross the freezing mark either side of the lunch hour, and I think we stay there the rest of the weekend. So we're moving the ice just a bit north. Worse conditions later on as we head north. I'll have the ice amounts when I come back in just a bit.
Thanks, Brandon. The weekend is starting early for thousands of students across the Ozarks.
Nearly 250 school districts have called off classes today, including Springfield, Nixa, Ozark, Republic, and Willard.
Evangel and OTC also closed. We have the cancellations running right now at the bottom of your screen.
Freezing rain started falling early this morning.
Kate Alt continues our team coverage now with a look at the road conditions. Kate, we know crews worked overnight and got up early this morning to treat those highways and major roads.
Yeah, we've seen a few of them come by here on Sunshine Street this morning. Plows obviously aren't down because there's no snow on the ground, but they've been continuing putting salt on these roads just to make sure that everything is okay for people traveling out here this morning. So far, what we've seen here in Springfield is really some off and on rain. There are times where it lets up, so it's just a mist, and there are other times where it's coming down pretty good. So it's kind of in between right now. Depending on when you step out the door this morning, you might see something different. It might not be so bad, or it might be raining pretty hard. But you can see the traffic is starting to pick up here on Sunshine Street. We've got a few more cars here out on the road than we did earlier this morning, and the street looks slick. I mean, under the street lights you can tell that things are wet, but hopefully the salt seems to be keeping things at least not as slippery right now. So traffic is still moving okay. We haven't seen or heard of any major accidents here in the Springfield area, but again, as the rain continues to fluctuate, getting a little stronger throughout the morning at some periods, and the temperature fluctuates as well, all these road conditions can change, and as Brandon mentioned, depending on where you're traveling, those conditions can change as well. So keeping an eye here on the streets and just kind of on the rain this morning, and we will let you know if we hear about any problem spots here in the area.
Thank you, Kate. Now a look at the live traffic cameras in the Springfield metro area, and it looks like a little bit of ice on the camera at 65 and Chestnut. A few of them look like they have some ice on them, but no accidents to report at this time. We are seeing the ice starting to show up on I-44. This is MoDOT's statewide map. Don't worry about this alert right here. That's some bridge work, but you can see I-44 partly covered is the dark blue there up into the Rolla area. Arkansas, quick look at you guys. You're green at this time. That means the roads obviously are clear. As for flights in and out of Springfield, I'm only showing cancellations from Allegiant. Those are early afternoon flights around 1 o'clock out of and into Las Vegas. Everything else is running on time. Now, the three major airlines serving the Springfield-Branson National Airport are taking steps to help travelers during all of this. United, American, and Delta have all issued travel waivers for passengers flying to or from Springfield. That means you can change flights or your travel dates without paying a fee. That applies for today and tomorrow. We have links to each airline's website so you can get more information on those vouchers at ky3.com.
All right, and we're getting word that roads might be slick in Ava. Look out for that if you're in that area. Many of you have been getting ready, stocking up on bread, ice melt, flashlight batteries. Meteorologist Liz McGiffin picks up our team coverage here with when ice and wind can create power outages. Liz.
Those are really the two big things that we're looking for. Of course, we have those ice storm warnings and freezing rain advisories that are in effect throughout the day, letting us know that we could be seeing some ice accumulation. And Kate's out there watching the roads where already they're starting to look a little bit slick. Now, ice, of course, that's one of the big things that we're looking at with these ice storm warnings and the accumulating ice. Now, it's once we hit about ½ an inch of ice on the power lines that crews start to get a little concerned, or at least they really start upping their staff. Now, it's not just the ice that could be helping to potentially knock down power with the power lines. Also wind. When we're talking about gusts upwards of 20 to 25 miles per hour, that's another thing that could not only be swinging the power lines around, but potentially even knock down tree limbs. Now, as far as how much freezing rain we're talking about accumulating the ice, well, it's really primarily those of us along and north of 44 that we're starting to see that ¼ inch mark as we head through the weekend. On top of that, wind, remember, that's the second factor. And we've been seeing strong gusty winds earlier this week. Good news, though, is that as we head toward the weekend, we're going to be staying closer to the 10-mile-per-hour range. Now, that doesn't go to say that we couldn't see a few stronger gusts here or there, but at least we'll be seeing some lighter winds to try to counter some of the ice accumulation.
Utility crews have come a long way since the Ozarks' last big ice storm in 2007.
Kate Alt shows us how that disaster dramatically changed how crews tackle major outages. Kate?
Well, the first people to be assessing the damage when it comes to an ice storm and making the call on whether they need more help are the linemen. They're the ones that are out there in the thick of things, finding out where the heaviest damage is. In the storm in 2007, 405 extra crews were called in through mutual aid to help Ozark Electric Co-op with their restoration efforts. Now, luckily today and tomorrow, not projected to be as bad as that storm 10 years ago, but if they do start to think that it's going to be too much for the crews here to handle, they'll make the call for more hands on deck. Crews now have iPads in their trucks, and that gives them real-time information on damage. And social media will be key for anyone looking for information about outages.
We'll be using that format as well to let you know updates of where the concentration of damage is for us. We're efforting it, we know about it, so that you have peace of mind that, okay, my utility knows about it, and they have guys sent to the trouble to get it restored.
Now, calling and reporting an outage isn't as helpful now as it was 10 years ago because the system has been upgraded so much that crews are on it pretty quickly, and they tend to know that you are out of power before you even get a chance to call in. However, they do love reports of damage. If you call in a report of damage or post it to social media, that will give them a great idea on where they need to head to first and concentrate their efforts if there are any power outages throughout the day. Now, if you do lose power today, crews say that you should plan to be out of power longer than you might expect. Just be patient, let them get their crews out there, and they have a system on how they work on restoring things. So keep an eye on your city utilities page. If you live out in the county, like their page on Facebook or Twitter, and they will be posting where the outages are and where they'll be working first. You can have a good idea of what things look like throughout the day. Live in Springfield, Kate Alt, KY3 News.
All right, and Kate talked about Ozark Electric Co-op. Checked out their outage map right now. 0 outages for that particular utility. Want to go over here, check out some of the other ones. This is Ameren, Missouri, 99.9% in service right now. So really great news there. This is new for Springfield City Utilities. Let me get a bearing on where this is. This is West Bypass and Sunshine. So a handful of people out, about 5 people without power right now. That's a very small number. And I've been looking around for outages, keeping an eye on this, and just a handful up here in the Kansas City area. But again, that's the radar. You see a lot of pink there, the cotton candy that Brandon calls it. That's where the freezing rain is falling, and it's mostly to the north and the south, it looks like, of I-44 right now. Now, we on KY3.com, we have a ton of winter weather resources online. We also have the free apps, weather and news. You can get your school closings, you get the latest on the road conditions, and you can also find out the latest on interactive Doppler radar. So if you want to look at that radar, where is it coming down right now, you can do that right here on KY3. Maria?
I just checked, and again, no accidents in the Springfield area at this time. Road crews have been getting ready for this ice storm, treating roads, getting equipment ready to deal with downed trees and storm debris. City crews are experimenting during this round of winter weather by pre-treating secondary roads first and then focusing on primary streets. They say if you have to be out there on the roads, give them room to work.
All we ask is that you treat our vehicles as emergency vehicles. Stay back off of them. If you're passing, be extremely careful, especially if it is getting icy. And if you don't have to get out, don't. The less traffic that's on the roadway, the quicker we can get things cleared off.
MoDOT crews are also ready with 280 trucks in our area treating highways and major routes first. 2 snowboarders buried by an avalanche, the amount of time they were trapped, and what rescuers spotted under the wall of snow.
Time now 6:10. Brandon tells us where the heaviest freezing rain is falling right now and how long we'll stay under an ice storm warning. And if you look closely there, you might see a bit of rain there in Lebanon.
Number 1 in the Ozarks. You're watching KY3 Ozarks Today with Maria Niner, Paul Adler, and Storm Team meteorologist Brandon Beck. The place to be, on air, online, on the go. And now, your KY3 Storm Team forecast.
6:13. So we're finding out that if you're expecting blanket heavy rain, that's not the case.
Right.
Nope, but there are pockets where
Bursts
it
here
just
and there.
flat comes down. I mean, we've even had a couple lightning strikes this morning. Early on.
People in Rogersville were saying that they had some thunder
So
out
there are spots. Some of you are going to walk out the door and you're going to say, it didn't do anything. Oh. And then other spots it's glazed over. So here's what I think, and I've changed the forecast just a touch in terms of ice amounts based on the current radar and model trends. And you know what, folks, as you well know, it comes down to a degree, it comes down to a few miles. I mean, I'm always wringing my hands when it comes to details like this. However, Central Missouri still looks to get the brunt of this thing because you may have a few rounds. It all depends on the temperature. I think in Springfield's case, we may go above freezing by this afternoon and then stay there for the rest of the weekend, which would mean mostly liquid from this point. And that is also true to the south. You're going to see the radar. Things have already lifted north almost to Springfield at this point, and there's a little conveyor belt down south. So I'm thinking a tenth to a quarter here in town, but it varies from spot to spot. Ava this morning, already about 2/10 of an inch of ice. it doesn't mean that's happened everywhere. So let's take a look at what's happening this morning on the radar, and you'll see there's quite a bit of color. I'm first of all going to show you the pink. It's all frozen essentially, but you can't really tell intensity on that. So I'm going to switch it over to the more traditional type of radar so that I can show you where it is raining harder. It wouldn't be out of the question to see a couple of lightning strikes. Now notice everything moving east-northeast. The bottom edge of it though has already come up to the north. Now we've had some freezing rain for several locations down through Branson. In fact, the freezing line's all the way to Mountain Home in Harrison, as expected. To the southwest, note this area of heavier freezing rain, and that's going to move right up close to Springfield. But so far this morning, it's been sort of split. North side of town's had it more than the south end. This is really just across from Miami, Oklahoma. That means I-44 for those of you that are traveling. And all the way up to Mount Vernon, you're going to get some heavy freezing rain here in the next little bit. And this is headed for roughly the Springfield area. I say roughly because it may not catch the whole city based on the way it's moving. Now, as you head east, Marshfield, you've got heavy freezing rain right now. Same thing for Seymour. Notice it's in pockets. You go down to Ava, well, they've had about 2/10, according to Billy Long, our weather watcher, but not doing anything there now. You got a break up here toward Lebanon. You've had some freezing rain, so that's the idea here. It'll start, it'll stop, it'll come in waves, and it will vary in terms of how much ice we get. So Houston, you've got light freezing rain. It's going to pick up again. Now here's Futurecast. Now remember the radar where I showed you that little conveyor belt. The models pick it up on that. It's about 20 miles too south with it, no, too far south with it. In any case, watch this. This is going to move northeast. We'll probably see it continue to fire up for a while. Boy, that freezing line gets real close to Springfield by noon. From that point south, it's rain. From that point north, it's still freezing rain. And as we go through the next couple of days, folks, this is going to come in waves. Mostly rain on the south, but look how close that freezing line is to Springfield tomorrow morning. From that point north, I think freezing rain a lot of tomorrow. It will try to oscillate a little bit in terms of that freezing line, but you can see it's just round after round after round, which is why we think central Missouri still has the highest potential for more damaging type of ice accumulation. Springfield's case, our window of opportunity seems to be pretty narrow. We're 30 right now, in fact freezing all the way down to Arkansas, and then 20s to the north. Rolla, Camdenton, Warsaw, Stockton, Lamar, you are the most likely to stay below freezing through perhaps as late as early Sunday morning. I think from that point we all go warmer, but that warm air is very gradually going to pull north today. So I'm optimistically shooting for 34 in Springfield. That could happen close to the lunch hour today. So again, what icing is going to happen will happen this morning for the most part, and yes, the commute could be slick. Lots of pre-treating going on last night and this morning, though. 38 in Arkansas, and then we stay pretty steady tonight. That freezing line is only going to move a little bit. Central Missouri, best ice or worst ice accumulation. 37 in Springfield tomorrow, 50 by Sunday, 62 with a few thunderstorms on Monday.
Thank you, Brandon. Time now 6:18. A trooper ambushed near Phoenix, Arizona.
Next, what 3 civilians did that most likely saved that trooper's life. Welcome back. 619. Two snowboarders survived an avalanche in the mountains of Utah. The Summit County Sheriff's Office says the group of 11 snowboarders triggered that avalanche. 2 of them got trapped. Now, the snow pinned one of the men against a tree, breaking both of his legs. The other man wound up buried under about 6 to 12 inches of snow for 8 minutes. Rescuers only found him quickly because the tip of his snowboard just stuck out of the snow. We're told that avalanche rolled down the mountain at 40 to 50 miles per hour.
3 civilians may have saved the life of an Arizona trooper shot while responding to a wreck west of Phoenix. Police say one of the civilians shot and killed that suspected gunman. Another one found a first aid kit and started treating the officer who had been shot in the shoulder and arm yesterday morning. A third civilian then grabbed the officer's hand radio to call for help.
Hello, officer down outside Tonopah. Come in, please. Sorry, this is a civilian. He's shot or feet on I-10. He's in real bad shape.
Police say the suspect was slamming the trooper's head into the pavement before that driver stopped and shot him. The trooper is in serious but stable condition. Time now 6:20. Flooding, heavy snow, and preparing for that ice storm.
Next, a look at the severe weather across the country.
And now, your KY3 Storm Team forecast.
Well, here we go, folks. The ice is occurring from many places, not everywhere, and it tends to be in pockets this morning. Most of it frozen, certainly, as we're below freezing all the way to Harrison and Mountain Home. Precip's already lifted out of Arkansas. Could be a little drizzle down there. Some pockets of heavier freezing rain coming through Mount Vernon. That's going to come into Springfield, or at least the north side of Springfield, in the next 30 minutes or so. Out our back door, pavement is just wet, but surely there are going to be some slick spots out there this morning. Ice could accumulate to about a ½ inch for some parts of central Missouri later on today. A little less than that in Springfield, and I don't expect any real big power problems today, but just be careful if you're going to be out driving.
Snow, heavy rain, freezing rain, creating dangerous conditions from the heartland out to the west coast.
Rain has triggered flooding, while frigid temperatures have brought heavy snow, and we're under an ice storm warning.
So the bottom line is we see this coming.
The governor of Missouri declaring a state of emergency Thursday in response to an ice storm set to hit parts of the country's midsection.
We've also put in place a quick reaction force so that we have our National Guard members who are available to take on missions as they will be assigned.
The ice storm is expected to hit Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois, where icy conditions froze up the morning commute for train passengers Thursday.
We couldn't make it up the hill to the bridge. We finally did after 4 times back and forth to get some momentum. We even made it on the bridge. We lost power.
Some riders stuck for upwards of 5 hours due to ice on the tracks and overhead wiring. The West Coast also reeling from severe weather this week. Frigid temperatures in Oregon proving deadly for the homeless in Portland, with the bodies of several hypothermia victims found this month. California also taking a winter weather hit, bringing hazardous road conditions and heavy snow.
We have plows and drivers out right now as we speak, and we've had them out since 3 o'clock in the morning.
Other parts of the state hit with flooding this week amid heavy rainfall.
Just a few days ago, you're looking at vineyards and almonds, and now you're looking at pretty much a lake.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
6:25, a crime novel comes to life on the big screen.
I need ID, Chief.
I expect you'd feel that way.
Next, a preview of Live by Night and what else is new at the movies. In the entertainment beat, actor Ben Affleck is establishing himself as a top Hollywood director and producer.
He's out with a new movie this weekend where he again is on both sides of the camera.
We all find ourselves in lives we didn't expect.
Crime takes a holiday in Live by Night. Ben Affleck directed and stars in this gangster flick about a Boston crew muscling in on Florida rum runners, but he soon discovers all that warm weather and sunshine does not cover up his multitude of sins. Live by Night is rated R.
You stole something from me.
Bring it back or your son's not coming home.
Jamie Foxx needs a cup of revenge espresso in Sleepless. He plays a Vegas officer caught between dirty cops and angry gangsters. After a heist gone wrong, the mob abducts Fox's teenage son, so the lawman has 24 hours to find his kid, bust the perps, and evade internal affairs. Sleepless is rated R.
Don't make me say it. Don't say it, don't think it.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste in The Bye-Bye Man. This Fright Fest begins when 3 college friends discover that all the most horrible deaths have one demon in common, and if you even think his name, you're next. The Bye-Bye Man is rated R.
It is an engine for my truck. Isn't that right, Creech?
A teenager puts more than a tiger in his tank in monster trucks. Lucas Till likes to tinker with old trucks until he finds an E.T. living in his GMC. The creature's got a need for speed, and he's going to have to use every bit to escape those who want to capture him. Monster Trucks is rated PG. That's the box office preview. Raphael Seth, NBC News.
6:28 now. We're under an ice storm warning across much of the Ozarks.
Straight ahead, the road conditions for your morning commutes. The area is getting freezing rain, and when will warm back up.